going to give everybody a minute to take a seat, and then we will officially start. Marianne Radmacher wrote these words. She danced, she sang, she took, she gave, she loved, she created, she dissented, she enlivened, she saw, she grew, she sweated, she changed, she learned, she laughed, she shed her skin, she bled on the pages of her days. She walked through walls. She lived with intention. And yes, she did. That was our Jan. To those gathered with us here, to friends and family gathered together in New Zealand, and to all those who are viewing through live stream, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us as we celebrate a life well lived, as we celebrate Jan. My name is Ronnie Hairston, and I had the pleasure of working alongside Jan as part of the pediatric therapy team at Abilities First for almost 21 years. Today, in this place, time stands still for just a moment as we acknowledge and share how Jan has left an imprint on our hearts. Today, we will stop for a moment, all of the busyness of the day, to hear stories and memories of a woman who touched so many lives worldwide. She was a phenomenal woman, wife, sister, aunt, mentor, leader, and friend. Through these stories, I am sure that you will see how her spirit and her living made a difference to many. Once again, thank you, welcome. And we're just gonna follow the program as it's written. We're not gonna announce who's coming up next, so thanks.
Good morning. My name is Roger Smith, and I serve as the Safety and Facility Director at Abilities First. And I've had the opportunity to serve with Jan over the last 20 years on the leadership team with her. Also, I had the unique privilege of going through marital counsel with Ed and Jan probably nearly 19, 20 years ago. And anybody know Ed? If Jan could stay with Ed that long, it must have worked. No offense, Ed. As Ronnie said, today you're going to hear many of the great things that Jan accomplished and the people she touched in her personal and professional life here at Abilities First. But for me, she shined brightest during the last several years. I'm going to paraphrase it, but Dr. Martin Luther King said, "The ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in time of challenge and controversy." No truer words could have been spoken of that which defined Jan as her tenure at Abilities First as the executive director. You see, in 2019, there were some unfortunate events that happened that left in question the very existence of then the 61-year history of Abilities First. Questions like, will we be able to remain open? If we remain open, can we sustain ourselves? More importantly, who will lead us? And using a baseball analogy, Ability First was in Game 7 of the World Series. We were at the bottom of the ninth. We were down a run, and there were 2 outs. The board of directors selected Jan to come out of the bullpen, out of the dugout, and to pitch hit for Ability First to try to save the game. Jan came to the plate, in July of 2019, strike one. She didn't have the infrastructure or the support that some of the other executive directors enjoyed because of the downsizing plan. We thought we got through that piece. We took a breath. Strike two happened in March of 2020 when COVID hit, and there we was again. And I was one of the ones that worked with Jan during that period on the phone, and she agonized over some of the decisions that had to be made to keep our services going as best that she could, and to also make sure that we embrace our families and our staffing. She went through a lot to get us through that. But then came another pitch. She swung and hit a home run, and we're here today. Let me be clear, Jan did not win the game, but she gave us an opportunity to go out and win it. Let me be clear, Jan did not win the game. She gave us an opportunity to write another chapter in the history of Abilities First. Jan gave us another opportunity to share our stories across this region about the difference that we make each and every day in the lives of families that are going to be looking for our service that's not going to focus on limitations, but it's going to look for the best and people's abilities. So in my closing, now it's our time to step up. It's our time to come to the plate. I do not know what the future is going to throw our way. It may be a curveball, might be a slider, it might be an underhanded pitch, we don't know. But what I do know, that if we have that same level of commitment that Jan showed us and demonstrated, not just talked about, but she demonstrated it each and every day, I know that we will leave a legacy that Jan would so be proud of. In my last several conversations with Jan, that's what she wanted most, is to leave a legacy. We were the senior leadership people, and she would always say, Roger, wouldn't it be nice for us to turn this over to another generation? And I can say to Jan, well done. So at this time, let's just give Jan a round of applause for what she has done. She's already missed, but not forgotten. Oh, you can stand on your feet. She wanted us to celebrate. She wanted us to celebrate. Come on. A life well lived. She passed the baton on to us. Now we can run with it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Roger. Good morning. My name is Stephanie Bisselberg, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Abilities First. It's my honor to be with you here this morning, Ed, Jan's family in New Zealand, her friends and colleagues from Abilities First, and other friends and loved ones. From the first time I met Jan, it seemed that she always had a smile on her face. At board meetings, she greeted every one of us, and that smile, combined with her lilting accent, brightened every meeting that we had. Especially over the last 2 years, Jan and I worked very closely together and spent quite a bit of time together. At her suggestion, we would often meet at Abilities First, but then we also started to meet at a Thai restaurant that she really liked. It became one of my favorite spots too. From the moment that we would sit down for our lunch meetings at a table, she was ready to jump right in with her stories about what was happening at Abilities First. Jan particularly lit up when she talked about all of her coworkers and, of course, the kiddos. She'd continue talking about her stories well beyond when our food arrived, and we would then joke about the fact that we'd have to finish all the stories before we could eat our lunch. It mattered very much to her that she could share with me, on behalf of the board, what was happening with everybody at Abilities First. Jan really looked out for her team, and their needs and concerns mattered to her very much. If one of them came to her with a problem or issue that needed attention and the Jan maybe needed some help with herself, whether it was a benefits question, an HR matter, or a request from an agency or court, Jan always took the time to review the matter and get the employee the resources that he or she needed to address the issue. She fought for them and put others' needs first before her own, always. Not surprisingly, Jan also took a lot of pride talking about what was done for others. Last year at Christmas, she spoke glowingly about the Christmas gifts that students put together that involve packaging different ingredients to make baked goods. She explained in detail the process involved and even the writing of gift tags for the recipients. She even turned the cleaning out of her office in early 2022 into something that she did not for herself but for others, as it would streamline things for her, make it easier for her to find things so that she could spend more time with her team. And I remember her being so excited after the holidays to show off her newly organized office. Thank you, Ed, for your help with that too. Jan had a lot of patience and truly gave the gift of her time to others. She communicated with the leadership team and prioritized taking the time to let them know what was going on. There was one stretch of time when some board members were going to be at Abilities First over the course of several days, using some office space there. And Jan made a point of walking us through the whole entire facility, making introductions to all the teachers and staff there, letting them know what was going on, and making sure they knew who this new person was that was going to be spending some time in their space. And as many of you know, and as Roger so lovely just explained, Jan's tenure as executive director came at during a series of challenging times. Initially, there were the significant organizational changes that were navigated through that Roger alluded to. Jan handled all of them with dignity and respect for employees always. We just kind of got those changes behind us at a board when, of course, COVID hit. Her leadership and dedication from day one were what got us through that period. And most importantly, she maintained a positive outlook and confidence that we would get through it. Coming out of COVID, and just within the past year, she recognized maybe a couple of additions she needed to make to her leadership team to really position for the future, and she made those additions. So with those organizational changes behind her, with COVID in the rearview mirror, and her team fully in place, Jan was ready to lead Abilities First forward once again. Because of her tireless efforts, she left everything ready for you all to do just that. But beyond her dedication to the agency, Jan derived joy from her hobbies and personal time as well. She regularly talked about her flower garden and the joy it brought her to tend to it. She was excited to share details of a holiday trip earlier this year to visit with family, and described in detail all the delicious sounding homemade food she prepared to take there. And of course, she looked forward to her vacation time with Ed. Through spending time with Jan over the past 2 years, so many of these traits that made Jan Jan came through so clearly. Her patience, her care for others, and her unending devotion to Abilities First and its students, families, and employees has benefited Abilities First for the past 2 decades, and her legacy will stay forever with the agency as it slowly moves forward. In fact, we've witnessed this already in the way that the leadership team and the staff have come together at Abilities First over the past few months. Thank you. You do Jan and her legacy proud. Shortly before she passed, Jan shared a beautiful Easter card. I remember looking at it at the time and thinking, this looks exactly like something that Jan would really love. It depicted a beautiful light-filled naturescape with mountains, birds, other animals, and of course flowers. It was an e-card, and so it also had this lovely soft music playing in the background. The greeting included was just as beautiful, wishing the recipient a peaceful, uplifting, and enjoyable holiday with loved ones and friends, with renewal for our spirits and nature. With eternal thanks to Jan for sharing such beautiful sentiment, for her selfless contribution to Abilities First, and for her friendship, may we all carry with us a peaceful and uplifted spirit in celebration of Jan's love and life.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Condry. I'm the mayor in Middletown, and I am blessed and honored to be here with all of you today on behalf of the City of Middletown citizens, City Council, city staff. And I have a certificate of recognition for Jan and her family that I'd like to read for you all, and hopefully Ed may be able to come up at the end of it so I can hand it off to him. Whereas Jan Sutcliffe Brown Rosebrow was born February 3rd, 1958. A native New Zealander, she was affectionately known as a Kiwi. Sadly, she departed this earthly life on May 21st, 2022. And whereas Jan trained and was a New Zealand registered physiotherapist who, after 2 years of general work, chose to specialize in pediatrics. She first worked in pediatrics at Auckland Hospital, then went on to work for the community-based Visiting Neurodevelopment Therapy Service. She led the team before leaving her home country in 1989 to pursue working in disability programs for a non-governmental agency in developing countries. Before pursuing her passion for working with children and families through Save the Children's Fund, Jan was a very talented dancer and choreographer, and she was heavily involved in musical theater in Auckland, New Zealand. And whereas her passion for working with children and families living with differing disabilities and neurodiversity, and for partnering with governmental and local resources to strengthen networks, promote inclusion, and support the children and families in living their best lives, led her to break many barriers in the field of child disability and special education internationally. Jan spent several years in Fiji, Saudi Arabia, and England, and lastly, the United States. And whereas her journey led her to Abilities First in 2001, after being responsible for leading the agency's Pediatric Therapies and Early Childhood Learning Center, inclusive childcare program, Jan developed the Autism Learning Center in 2009 and took on the role of executive director of the agency in July 2019. Whereas Jan's career path and life choices afforded her many diverse experiences and learning opportunities. She faced, met, and overcame situations and challenges professionally and personally, and learned about her own strength and resilience along the way. Jan Sutcliffe Brown's incredible expertise, leadership, and kindness have impacted not only the people of Middletown, but the entire world. Jan's legacy of service will stand as a hallmark for others to emulate, and her spirit will continue to inspire us. Ed, if you're able to come up here, I want to present this to you, and we've got 2 copies. If you want, you don't have to. I can bring it out there for you. So now, therefore, it is bright up here, Nicole Condry, Mayor of the City of Middletown, on behalf of City Council, City staff, and the citizens of our city, do hereby present this certificate of recognition to her beloved family, along with our sincere condolences. May you be consoled for your memories of her well-lived life and her outstanding contributions to our community.
That's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, don't go that way. The stairs are this side.
I couldn't see him. Now I can see him.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, but I'm going to. Because I'm old and I'm allowed to. Back up. I can't see if I back up.
Don't worry, I'll make sure he doesn't fall. Do you want the microphone?
Oh, no. I'll get down here.
Okay, he's gonna get down here so no one worries.
Perfect. There you go. That way I can sit down.
Do you want the microphone?
I know most.
Let's do it. Oh yeah, because we've got some people watching, huh? They might hear it.
Oh, hello. Jan had nobody in this country except me. That's why I sent her home to her family. I really don't have anyone either, but I've got most all you people that I've known for 20 years. And most of you blessed me with grandkids. First year, second year, Jan went to Abilities. One of you therapists had a baby. Oh, I think her name was Sophie. And she's in college. What in the world? But all the therapists are good people. If anybody has ever had the opportunity to be in the presence of, know of, or been with Jan, we're blessed. Because I was. It's hard to say. The nice thing about her legacy to keep Abilities First on the map is the fact that she is left with us peoples that she's worked with for 20 years, and they're going to be training the new people because they're really good at what they do, and it will be successful because of them. It's hard when do what? God, didn't think an old man could cry, but anyway, I did, I will. I apologize, I haven't been around since Jan passed, and I think that was God's way of helping me because I had to sell the house that we lived in because it was ungodly too big, and I bought a home up north a couple hours where my brother lives, and so I'll be up there, and I will definitely be back to give you crap or whatever. All the therapists from day one, for some reason, we hit it off, and it's hard because, oh man. Anyway, when you all come up and hug me, it's just like, oh crap. I mean, you're all my kids because you're all about the same age as my kids. And I started when I was 12. Anyway, I so appreciate Abilities First for having Jan in your life, and me having you all in my life, and you new folks, you will hear and know what Jan was about, and it was about people and the kids. Nothing else. Well, me maybe sometimes. And it's probably kind of weird because I still talk to her every day, and actually last week she chewed me out. Did you run out of your happy pills? Yeah, I gotta go get them. Well, go get them. I've heard that a few times. But thank you so much. I love all you guys. And what do I do with this thing? Oh, thanks, Rod.
I'm Emily Hasselbeck, and I had the pleasure of working with Jan from 2004 to about 2009 as a therapist, and I'm honored to be able to read some tributes about her. This first one is from Dana Babani, who unfortunately is sick today and couldn't be here, and she was super sad to miss, so this is what she sent me. Jan was my first boss. When I first interviewed with her, I was immediately taken by her warm and inviting smile, fun demeanor, and her beautiful accent. During the time I worked for her, I was so thankful for her advice and constant support, but didn't realize no other boss I would ever have would come close to her in comparison. When you worked for Jan, you didn't just become one of her employees, you also became part of her family. I've never worked for another person who pushed me to not only be a better therapist for my patients, but also a better person in my home and personal life. She often stressed the importance of taking mental health days with no explanation necessary, of making time for your loved ones, and to make sure you were enjoying your job. She had a way of truly making you feel like she cared, and that continued long after I stopped working at Abilities First. Though I moved over 2 hours away, that didn't seem to make a difference in our relationship at all. She traveled to my wedding, would frequently send messages via Facebook or email, and would always ask for updates about my family, and would constantly initiate trying to make time to get together to catch up. I will forever cherish the compliments she would give about loving listening to my husband's live music, enjoying my crazy ideas for messy sensory play ideas in therapy groups, and for the list of over 30 different ways to prepare lamb she provided me with when I told her I wanted to attempt preparing it for the first time. Rest in peace, Jan. I hope you realize how many lives you touched in all the different aspects of your life. You'll be greatly missed. The next ones are from online that were posted. This is from Jennifer Asbrock. Jan and her family will be in my thoughts and prayers. Jan's kind spirit lives on and will be remembered always. From Maggie Dwyer, I met Jan many, many years ago in New Zealand. She was a joy to be around. Funny, intelligent, and a great sense of commitment to a cause. Ann Tapia said, Jan was a lovely person with whom I've always held the utmost respect and admiration. I imagine this celebration to be a collective of equally amazing people, as Jan had the ability to draw a circle of good people near her. I'll be there in spirit. And Mark Shanley said, Jan and her family will be in my prayers, as she was a wonderful soul who cared deeply about her kiddos, as she always referred to them. She will be missed, but never forgotten. And lastly, this one's from me. As my first boss, Jan took me under her wing and gave me so much guidance and perspective as a new therapist. She was always available for whatever I needed, both professionally and personally. She was supportive as I got married and grew up as a clinician. She offered nothing but encouragement when I decided to go back to school to get my PhD. Even though life took me away from my Abilities First coworkers, who were really more like family, Jan was sure to stay in touch and remained a big part of my life. Unfortunately, we hadn't seen each other in too long, but she was always present in my online life on Facebook, which sounds silly, but so true. She always offered words of encouragement and love on nearly all of my Facebook posts and pictures. She truly felt like a part of my extended family, and her cheers of support as I journeyed through early motherhood were always appreciated. In the past few months, I've deeply felt the absence of her encouragement and interaction online. I know she had a special way of connecting with people, and I know I'm definitely not the only one who's missing her dearly. I hope that I can carry on the love that she shared with me and impact other people in a similar way.
Hello, I'm Missy Pataskowitz. I worked with Jan from 2010 to 2014. I have a few tributes to read for you. This one is from Marie Lane. I believe she's over in New Zealand. My late son, Dean, brought so much into so many people's lives. One of those people I never would have met if it wasn't for him was Jan. She came racing into our lives in 1981 as Dean's visiting PT and changed us both for the better with her empathy and her wisdom. Dean absolutely adored her from then on. They made a very special relationship. She got him. Many times, she caught me having a rough moment, and after coffee and lots of talking, I was back to going positive and in charge again. Such is the person I counted as one of my oldest and best friends. The confidences we shared, she was never judgmental. Whenever she came home, our home was filled with chatting, laughing till we cried over absolutely nothing, and more than the odd whine. So much fun and love. Then off she went with a hiss and a roar till next time. I visited her twice in the States, and both times she made sure I had a ball and made amazing memories. Remember the day we broke down, Ed? And the chocolate mudslides. I was privileged to visit the center and meet many of you and see for myself the high regard she was held in. I am still in shock and disbelief at just how quickly she was taken from us, and thank God we were able to be there via Zoom as she passed. She was and always will be surrounded by the love and devotion of so many people. Never again those 2-hour Saturday morning phone calls and the giggling like schoolgirls. Our beautiful Kiwi queen, so very loved and so very missed. Love you forever, Jan. The next tribute is from Kathy Million, a colleague. Sweet Jan, you will be so missed. A few weeks ago, I felt like I got to know you so much more on a personal level. It was fascinating hearing about your growing up, traveling, adventures, and some of your painful life moments. I thank you that you could share that with me. Your professionalism and compassion will be greatly missed at Abilities First, of course, but your sweetness will be missed by all who got to know you. Lord, wrap your loving arms around sweet Jan and also her friends and family that are mourning, till we meet again in heaven.
This is a poem from her niece, Gail McLean. Her journey's just begun. Don't think of Jan as gone away. Her journey's just begun. Life holds so many facets. This earth is only one. Just think of Jan as resting from the sorrows and the tears, in a place of warmth and comfort where there are no days and no years. Think how Jan must be wishing that we could know today how nothing but our sadness can really pass away. And think of Jan as living in the hearts of those she touched, for nothing loved is ever lost, and Jan was loved so much.
My name is Christine Alderman, and I had the privilege of working with Jan, like many of you, for 5 years at Abilities First. I watched her work tirelessly for her programs and for the agency, and I only wish I could have witnessed her in the role of executive director. Jan was a wonderful and generous friend. When I moved to Middletown, she and Ed took me under their wings and were really there for me if there was ever anything that I needed. And I know Jan was so generous and so loving to so many. She leaves such a legacy behind for those of us who knew her as a coworker and friend, family member, and all of the children's lives she has touched everywhere around the world. I have some tributes to read. The first is from Des Barnes, Jan's brother-in-law. He said, I first met Jan in 1963 when she was 5 years old, when I called to see her much older sister. I then went out of Auckland for 12 years and returned in 1970. When I started calling again, Jan had grown into a beautiful teenager, age 16. I was very shy, and Jan used to embarrass me by insisting on sitting on my knee. When Bev and I got married, Jan made a splendid bridesmaid. Jan had always wanted to become a physio and was devastated when she missed out on the first intake she applied for because of an age requirement by just a few days. Jan reluctantly accepted a job in a local bank and quickly advanced up the ranks. Showing the determination that she had, Jan applied for a place in the following year's intake and was accepted. After graduating, Jan accepted a position at Rotorua Public Hospital, a 3 hours drive from Auckland, where she flatted with another young woman. I loaded all Jan's belongings, including some furniture that her parents gave her, onto one of my trucks and installed her in the flat in Rotorua. It soon became apparent that cycling to work wasn't ideal, and on her frequent trips home to Auckland, I taught Jan to drive and bought her a car. When Jan returned to Auckland to work at Auckland Hospital, she lived with Bev and I before going flatting. Others have documented Jan's career path overseas, so I will not go into that, but I will say that whatever Jan set out to do, she made a great success of. Jan's parents would have been very, very proud of her, and I am sure they will be telling her that right now. The next tribute is from Vicki Mccullough, Jan's friend. Jan, you are my best friend and a loving sister who will be so missed. I am going to miss our long phone calls and Christmas passing the friendship ball back and forth. I think about you every day and know that you are at peace and surrounded by your loved ones in heaven. Ed, you and I and Jim are like family, and I will always have you in my heart. Stay in touch, as we will never forget you. All my love. And then Angel Rodriguez, a friend of Jan's and also a coworker, said, to my friend who I talked with often about life, I miss you oh so much, and my heart breaks for everyone missing you. You were always family to me, and I pray that you knew that. I will continue to pray for your family. I love and miss you, my dear friend.
Hi, I'm Karen Guo. I've had the honor of working with Jan and having her as a mentor in the most recent years. I'll be reading a few tributes from Jan's family. From Brett and Eveline Sutcliffe, Jan, you are my sister, and I will miss being able to hear from you. The same goes for Eveline for sure. You were of great encouragement to me. I am so proud of you and your achievements and the passion you had for people. I remember the beautiful ballroom gowns, your sashes and trophies. I remember visiting you in St. Heliers and Rotorua, New Zealand. I am so glad that you and I connected after us both having left New Zealand. It was great for Eveline and I to see you and Ed having a wonderful and special day on your wedding. The photos that Carol shared with us of your special day and also the ones of your home were great. Jan, it was a shame that Eveline and I didn't get a chance to visit you and Ed in the States. We are so happy you and Ed both had a wonderful adventure in life together. You have made a huge impact in the lives of so many people, and still in your passing away, you're connecting people, sorry. Ed, you will never be forgotten. We are family. Another tribute from Carol Newson. Jan, you will always be in my heart, always my little sister and my family's Auntie Jan. To see how you grew from that little baby into the woman who has left her mark in many places around the world has left me feeling that Mom and Dad would be so proud just as I am. You always worked hard at whatever you did. You gave 100% of yourself. It's hard to put into words what I am feeling, but you know my heart and you know you will always be cherished. We as a family have our own memories of the time spent with you and Mom and Dad. Love you, sis. Ed will always be in our family and thoughts and will always remain a special part of my life. To your friends and work colleagues, we thank you for all the support you gave to Jan. She loved us all and always spoke kindly of everyone. You will be missed, but never forgotten, Jan.
Hi, I'm Betty Roundtree, and I've worked with Jan, since she started there. And I want to tell a little quick story about Jan when she very first came. She, with her accent, she called me Beady. And so many people, especially over in the Butler County DD, they thought that was my name. And they would actually call into the front office and ask for Beady, and they'd all go, "Who's Beady?" And so for probably 2 or 3 years, that was my name. So, with her lovely accent. The first tribute I have is from her cousin, Merle Sowerby. It says, "I was nearly 10 when Jan was born. We went to various primary school performances and watched as she grew into a lovely young woman. I recall she received the Goethe Institute Award in her last year at Rutherford High. The ballroom dancing took up most of Jan's teenage years, and we only saw the photos and the gowns made by Bev, who seemed to be constantly surrounded by meters of tulle and stiffened net. Those gowns were absolutely gorgeous, even though I saw them only on the hanger. My most enduring memory is Jan as Bev's bridesmaid. Bev asked me to make Jan's dress, and on the day of the wedding, Jan turned into this sophisticated young woman wearing a large white picture hat, her long dress, and heels. The colors of the dress beautifully complemented the burgundy of the men's jackets in the bridal party. Jan, I was so glad to see you not set aside your Kiwi roots, nor I hope had forgotten the house in the Te Atatu of Auckland. We know you only as you were growing up, and then you moved out of the circle as you got on with your life. You have left a legacy that one sure you will never be forgotten." So that was her cousin. And this is from Sharon Marshall, and I know she was one of Jan's dearest friends. "I write this, Jan, to remember and honor you as my dear friend. Not only my much-loved friend, but as you always said, a sister, not by blood, but by heart. I hold precious memories of our 42 years of friendship and the full range of shared life experience with all its ups and downs. I was privileged to share the beginning of your career journey as a pediatric physical therapist in 1980 at Auckland Children's Hospital, and then with a visiting therapy service. You were always fun to work with, and wherever you have worked, you are remembered for your great professional skills and ability to build relationships. I am not surprised that you should end up leading an organization providing therapy and education services for children in Middletown, Ohio, called Abilities First. You always saw the child first and their ability. I'm sure you will be greatly missed by the children and families and your colleagues and friends there. Your work was always vitally important to you and a central part of your life. But no matter how busy you were with work, you always found time to be a friend. You were the most loving and loyal of friends. What a boon social media was for maintaining our friendship across the distance between New Zealand and the United States. Long video chats when we talked with a cup of coffee in hand. Quite a few hours later, if we had not solved the problems of the world, we surely eased some of our very own. You were always a Kiwi girl at heart and never lost your love for your homeland. You stretched your arms across the distance to hold on to your community of Kiwi friends. We are all deeply saddened that we will not sit down with you again to drink that cup of coffee or clink that glass of New Zealand wine that you so enjoyed. While there is the distance of another world between us now, there is no distance in my heart. Go well, my sister, my friend. May all the love of your family and friends surround you, and may the pure light within you guide you on your way. With love, Sharon.
Hi, I'm Michelle Moran. I was privileged to work with Jan. I was privileged to interview Jan, and then all the way through till now, or till March. Jan interviewed on September 11th, 2001, a tragic day, and for Jan, a difficult and an inauspicious start. Jan turned out to be the singularly best boss I ever had. She despised the word boss. She thought of us as a team, all working together to make the dream work. And she wasn't wrong. All at Abilities First worked hard and followed a dream. And for 20 plus years, the therapy department was blessed to have Jan leading the way. Honest, determined, visionary, ethical, pragmatic, intelligent, she was a unicorn. She started as our manager of therapies. A physical therapist herself, Jan understood what was expected of us day in and day out. She knew about the emotionally and physically exhausting sessions. She understood the families that came through our doors. She came into our sessions, had conversations outside her office with us, with the families and the kiddos. She felt the joy of each goal achieved and the frustration when they weren't. She told the important stories of putting strength and ability first. Eventually, to our great blessing, she became our executive director, and she got to lead us all. To her, building relationships was the underpinning of everything we do at Abilities First. She built relationships wherever she went, as so many people have said today. She knew our families, kids, and personalities so well. She encouraged us to spend extra time with clients and to find their talents. She knew that this was the only way to make progress, whether we were walking, communicating, learning, or even in business. So she spent time with the Abilities First employees. She found each of our unique gifts. Somehow she identified it, labeled it, and found a task for it. We therapists, under her direction, developed many programs, and I found so much joy in their creation. Jan knew I could vision, and vision big, but Jan was always sure I had a partner that could actually follow through and make the program happen. What joy and respect we built together when Jan had us working together so we would succeed. In performance appraisals, she encouraged us to put personal growth in there. Like, I got to become a mom this year, and I actually balanced my work life, and I started counseling. She knew those were as important as what we accomplished in our work. Her love and commitment to all around her made Abilities First exceptional, not just a workplace, not just a therapy center, a child care center, or a school, but also a place where all could be inspired, loved, and wanted. She made us her family. God, thank you for blessing us with Jan. And Jan, we really hope we make you proud as we continue. In the same vein, her friend Lynn Danner wrote, Jan was loved and respected friend and colleague of mine, both in New Zealand and Saudi Arabia. I am so glad to hear that her many talents were put to such good use in her work for Abilities First, and that she found happiness and satisfaction in her personal and professional life in the USA. Gone far too soon.
Hello, I am Marianne Farrell, and we are just so blessed to get to offer this space to honor such an amazing lady. I have heard over and over again today the word family, and I think that describes Jan the very best. She loved her family, and if you weren't physically in her family, she made you feel as if you were. My daughter Ellie is with me here today, and it was our joy to get to reunite with these wonderful therapists and administrators and individuals who have impacted our lives for over 20 years. Right, Ellie? Such a blessing. And my husband, Lamar, who is our lead pastor here at Baraka, he had another event today and was so saddened that he couldn't be with us. But he has also shared some comments that I'm going to close with. But before I do that, I would like to just share a few thoughts that the Lord gave me as we continue to honor Jan. I was privileged to know Jan over 19 years. My daughter Ellie received pediatric therapies at Abilities First since approximately 6 months of age. That would have even started with home visits until she aged out of therapies program just a few years ago. Jan was a personal encouragement to my family during the years that Ellie received therapies at Abilities First. Even though Jan was never Ellie's direct therapist, she always made sure to be involved in Ellie's plan of care as she served as director over the pediatric therapies during Ellie's years at Abilities First. Jan was always ready to stop what she was doing, as that echoes many of our comments we've heard today. She was always ready to greet us, open the door if necessary for us as we came up the ramp to go to our therapies. As I was sharing with Miss Michelle, sometimes that would be 4 times a week. It just depended upon what that week may involve. She always had a smile. Jan was genuinely interested in how things were going. Ellie recalled how she would wheel by her office, and Miss Jan would always make time to share a smile, ask how she was, how things were going with her brother Luke, or at church, or at school. She always had a word of encouragement, and she made sure that Ellie was receiving the assistance and the attention that she needed. Jan did an excellent job overseeing the multiple individual and group therapies that Ellie received while we were clients at Abilities First. She made sure to interact with the therapists, to provide resources for them, to help develop the tools they needed to succeed, and to assist the clients to provide the best experience possible. And again, I feel like I'm echoing everything that's been shared this morning. Jan would have reviews with us often. She would find out specific needs that Ellie had and make sure those needs were being met as best possible. Jan would always go the extra mile to make sure all was well with my daughter. For the last 4+ years, I have been privileged to serve with Jan on the board as a parent advisory member. And while serving on the board, I have witnessed Jan walk through some very difficult transitions. As I loved Roger's analogy of the ball game in many ways. We were all there, and we were cheering her on in the dugout. And as Stephanie mentioned, very specific ways that she would pour into board members and make sure we knew exactly what was going on. Her transparency was always a blessing. Jan and I have served together in different capacities to promote Abilities First in the community. She has continued to navigate through things like the pandemic and still keep a positive attitude and support, making sure every employee and every client were included in all the decisions being made. Baraka was blessed to partner with Abilities First as Jan coordinated the efforts to dedicate the very first ALC classroom, and some of you all got to be a part of that. We were so honored to do that in memory and honor of Dr. and Mrs. Peel. And she was also very supportive and excited as she was hearing of the outreach to the special needs community with even our current expansions, as she and I were beginning to have conversations with things that's going to be happening here in Baraka's Compassion City Center. It is my prayer that her vision of us working together in the future will become a reality. She would be cheering us on and telling us to keep on going. We were so blessed to have Jan's knowledge, expertise, passion, and leadership. She was certain to make everyone feel they could make a contribution with their God-given abilities. Jan will be dearly missed, and it is my prayer that we can continue to carry on her legacy as Abilities First Foundation lives out our vision to make sure children and young adults with various disabilities are living their best lives and making an impact in their community, just as Jan has impacted this community for decades. As Lamar and I were talking last night, he said, there's so many ways to try to capture Jan's life, and he is one who loves acronyms, and as Pastor Elijah, our worship pastor, has helped us prepare for today, he very well knows that. And I said, sure, honey, I can share one of your acronyms. So he took Jan's name, and J stands for joy. And I think what everyone has shared today represents the joy, not that just she had on the outside, it came from the inside out. The A stands for her accent. That was beautiful. I loved what Betty shared. And Lamar and Jan would always joke, because if he was there, if we were picking up Ellie, he would always say, Jan, how's Eid? I can't say it. No one could say it like Jan did, but she would always take time to talk to Lamar, and they would talk about her precious husband. And that leads me to the N. And I think Jan, as only a New Zealand Kiwi, as we've celebrated today, could say, never give up. Never give up. From her beloved Ed to her staff that she treated as her own, to all of her family and friends, she would say, never give up. Thank you for this honor.
My name is Lynn Hauser, and I was lucky to be interviewed by Jan. It's 18 years just last month, and it's gone by so quickly. We all know that Jan had tremendous drive, talent, and dedication to Abilities First. In addition to that, Jan's passion for the arts and dance was a huge part of who she was. She was a passionate dancer and performer growing up in New Zealand. She was an avid watcher of the program So You Think You Can Dance, and had frequent discussions in the therapy office about potential winners, their talents, and their creative interpretation of their dances. Jan's skills in the kitchen were notable. Many therapists had the chance to experience this over the years when she hosted a baby shower or wedding shower in her home. For me personally, there was a humorous exchange about what is Cool Whip when I referenced it as a whipped cream in a dessert I made. She encouraged me to review the Cool Whip package label, which I did, and made a quick transition to making whipped cream from scratch with her encouragement. This is just one of the many things I learned from Jan. Lastly, when invited into Jan and Ed's home for one of these celebrations, you were taken by their approach to decorating. Jan had an expansive vision for color, texture, space usage, and her partner in crime, Ed, executed these visions so beautifully. Their backyard was a vacation retreat. It was a beautiful, peaceful space filled with plantings, cozy furniture, and accents where books and coffee were enjoyed. This is the reason a garden space outside of Jan's office window is being transformed into the Jan Rosebrow Memorial Garden. Lewis Horticultural and Landscaping Service, a local Middletown business, has assisted us with this endeavor. It will be a fitting reminder of Jan's beautiful spirit and creative talents that our Abilities First families and employees will enjoy for years to come.
I'm Sarah Watts. I'm the director of the Autism Learning Center. Jan was one of a kind. Her passion, creativity, and unique vision can be seen as soon as you step through the doors of Abilities First. One of many successful visions was the Autism Learning Center, established 13 years ago, which started with 1 classroom and has grown now to 6. Each classroom is named after an animal: giraffe, monkey, panda, elephant, hippo, and koala. Jan, upon learning the name of the newest classroom, Koala, didn't hide the fact that she was a bit jaded, that it was an animal native to Australia, and began to throw out little hints for what to name the next room. Well, we all know Jan was a force of nature. Today, we are dedicating our 7th Autism Learning Center classroom, which is shared with our inclusive Early Childhood Learning Center, in loving memory of Jan's dedication to the children, families, and staff of Abilities First, and for her pride and affection for her homeland, New Zealand, aptly named the Kiwi Classroom. Jan had learned what the 7th ALC classroom would be named at the beginning of the year. And of course, she approved. Also, over the summer months, the Autism Learning Center summer program provides continuity of routine for students currently attending school and an introduction to the routine for students currently and an introduction to the routine and structure for incoming students. Payment for the program can either be out of pocket or families may request vouchers through their County Board of Developmental Disabilities. However, families who may benefit from the program may not be able to attend due to financial constraints and counties having a restricted amount of funding available. It is because of this fact that the Jan Rosebrow Kiwi Scholarship Fund has been created to honor Jan's dedication and commitment to the Autism Learning Center, to assist families experiencing financial hardship whose students are enrolled in the summer program. Donations from today's event will go towards the scholarship. We are forever grateful to have had the chance to work with Jan and experience her passion and vision for creating an inclusive environment for all children. Thank you.
I just realized that when I read the tribute from her niece, Gail, that I forgot to introduce who I actually am. My name is Marita Wade, and I'm the current Director of Development and Community Relations at Abilities First. I'm also the newest member of the leadership team as I started last October. This year has definitely been a whirlwind. But I will say that I want to thank you all for coming today to celebrate a life well lived. There's really no words that can encapsulate the impact and the impact that Jan had, not just on Abilities First, but every family that she was able to touch the lives of. So we are so grateful for the team that we have in place, our pediatric therapy, our ECLC, Early Childhood Learning Center, and our Autism Learning Center. The team that Jan has put together, we will continue her legacy, we will continue to move forward, and we will continue to change the world in our sphere of influence. So This is going to wrap up this portion of the memorial service. We will be heading back to Abilities First for light refreshments and, of course, the dedication of the garden and the dedication of the classroom. We definitely appreciate your love and your continued support of our agency as we continue to navigate forward. Thank you so much. We'll see you at Abilities First.